Hey channel, Fernando from SkyFi Audio. Today I've got before me our McIntosh system that occupies bay number 2 in our shop here in Glen Rock, New Jersey. There's no secret, we're big fans of McIntosh Audio. It's probably our best-selling brand, mostly from the vintage side. We have a full rack worth of equipment that's been restored from the 60s, 70s, and 80s from McIntosh, and it's hard to keep it in stock. As soon as we finish a piece, it gets listed and out the door it goes. But I also, I'm a big fan of the modern stuff, and that's what I've got before you. This is our complete, McIntosh semi-modern system that's been assembled over a few months as things come and go. We like to kind of assemble in each bay a system of a specific brand. So bay number 2, as you know, has this full McIntosh system flanked by Pirajadi Eurythmy speakers. And I thought I'd go over today what these components are, and more importantly, what this piece is here. Many of you know that McIntosh never made a reel-to-reel deck. We always wish they did because, frankly, if you have a McIntosh system and it looks something like this, it's hard to insert into it a piece of equipment that doesn't go with it. And there really haven't been any good reel-to-reels available that had this sort of look of McIntosh. So we're lucky enough to get our hands on this J-Coder Technics reel-to-reel that's been sort of adorned in the style of McIntosh. So it's not branded, it's really just a tribute to the brand. And it looks absolutely stunning. We waited quite a bit for this piece, and we're finally able to share it with you. So today I'm going to go over the Technics RS1520, which is that piece right there, and I'm going to go over just some of the other components just so that you know what comprises this system. So before I dive in, if you like these videos, please subscribe to our channel and set the notifications. That way we keep bringing you these videos, only if you enjoy it. So let me dive in. The Technics RS1500 line was introduced in the 70s. It's been around forever. It's a collector piece, very reliable. And I'll go over some of the technology in it as to why this was the right deck to modify into this McIntosh tribute. So the most common of the RS machines would be the 1500 and 1506, which are sort of residential or consumer versions. Now, they came out at some point with this model, the 1520, which is essentially more of a, prosumer, what we call semi-pro piece of gear. So you might have found this in someone's home, but you also would have maybe found this in a recording studio or some sort of radio station because of a couple of features that aren't found in the rest of the RS line. And that's particularly the preamp section. We've got here a record reproduce amplifier, which is a dual mono design. So this particular strip right here in the middle is not present in the RS1500 or the 1506, and it is part of the 1520. And that dual mono design preamp gives you quite a bit of better sound reproduction as well as balanced outputs, or the ability to have balanced outputs, which is what you really need for a system of this level. So the 1520 is a half-track machine, and it has the ability to play back in 4 tracks, which is pretty cool. So it's really the only machine you're going to need at this level. If you're an audiophile and you're looking to experiment and you've got the budget to spend on a machine like this, this is probably the perfect configuration for an audiophile. The half-track gives you use of most of the tape. Essentially, the record and left and right channel records go into our split into the 1/4-inch tape. And it has the high-speed capabilities of doing 15 IPS, as you see right there. So the 15 IPSs matched together with a half-track configuration is what you want as an audiophile. And there are tapes out there that you can buy from here in America of actual master recordings that have been moved over to 1/4-inch tape. So they're super expensive, but they're out there. I'll put a link on the description to where you can actually buy this media. So yes, as I said, this is a 1/4-inch tape, and it's split into halves for left and right channel. Now, there are a bunch of pre-recorded tapes out there that were done in 1/4 track, which means that you would, almost like a cassette deck, you'd have 2 channels on on half of the tape, and then you'd flip it over the other way, much like you do with a manual cassette, and you'd have another 2 tracks. So twice as much capacity, but at the sacrifice of some sound quality. So this is the best of both worlds, because it gives you the ability to record in 2 track, and if you've got some tape sitting around, you know, from maybe a collection or an old collection, maybe from your grandfather or your dad, this will play back in 4 track. So ideal setup. So the 1020, you know, was modified by J-Coder, and it wasn't just a cosmetic restoration. He goes through them and absolutely guts the machines and rebuilds them back to original specification, replaces quite a few components, and then applies these sort of, you know, cosmetic elements that make the deck look like it was produced to match the rest of the system. So anything from the meter backlighting and the meter coloring to all the labeling, lettering, the wood side panels, the trim, the chrome trim on the edges, at a distance and even at a pretty close range, you would think this machine was in fact made by McIntosh. Going over some of the features of the 1520. So it's built in Japan. I'm going to put the recorder down so I can see my notes a bit better. So it's a machine built in Japan, 10.5-inch wheel capacity, and 4 heads, and they're made from sand dust. Frequency range is 30 hertz to 30 kilohertz, which is pretty impressive, and that is specified at 15 IPS. And that's what I mean about higher and higher tape speed. The higher the tape speed, the better your frequency range. And this is a great example that the specification they list is essentially at 15 IPS. 68 dB signal to noise ratio, 0.0351 flutter, weighing at 28 kilograms. It's a heavy machine, hard to move around. And it uses a single capstan at 34 millimeters, which is a little bit unusual for a tape deck. That is part of the magic here. If you look at the tape path from this series of machines, it has a really unique routing where the tape goes around this tensioner here, through this pinch roller here, and then all the way around the bottom where it sits, and it picks up half of the recording heads and playback, and then goes through the other side and then up this way through a second set of pinch rollers and a second tensioner into the take-up reel. So it's a really interesting configuration, and it has built into it a stroboscope, which is typical for Technics turntables, but it's here on a reel-to-reel as well. So if I put this into play, I don't know if you're going to be able to appreciate it, but there's in fact a stroboscope set right here where I'm pointing at that gives you variable speed. So we're able to then use this pitch control to advance and retard the speed of the machine. Pretty neat. It's quartz locked, so you don't have to do anything if you don't want. And as soon as you push it in, it auto-regulates to the absolute speed. So let me give you a view of it from over here. So the tensioning is done electronically, which is really neat, and also the braking. It's got an incredible braking system, almost as good as the Nagaras that we have in-house. So when you stop and rewind, the precision and the braking is absolutely marvelous. So you can go right from rewind to play. All right, I'm back. Lost power in the middle of the video. Something always happens in my videos. So I was talking about the controllers. So here's a rewind. From a rewind to a full play, you can see the braking system engage, then you see the pause of the tape, and then the playback engaging incredibly smoothly. There's no rattling, there's no vibration. It's really remarkable how well it behaves. Now a lot of this is the magic of J-Coder and the restoration work. Now, not all decks are going to be this well balanced and smooth, but it's really a combination of both. So I was talking about the tape path, what they call is the isolated loop system, right? So talked about a single capstan, which is right here, and then the 2 pinch rollers, which engage on the exact same one. That allows you to have a reduced tape tension around here. Tape tension is what you try to avoid on these machines. The lower, the better it is in terms of managing the durability of the tape, especially on the archival stuff. You really don't want to stretch it. So a lower tape tension, because of the head design, allows this machine to be a lot more gentle than your average machine with high-value tapes. So I could talk a bit more about the tapes, but let me go to this document that I found here that kind of describes it a bit better. It says here, the Technics single capstan system offered advantage over double capstan and variations in the speed of 2 capstans and the pressure of the 2 pinch rollers to maintain the desired tape tension. Makes speed and tension adjustments complex and difficult, often increasing the tape tension for which is not desirable. Now this is probably translated from Japanese, so it's a little bit wordy. But essentially they're talking about what we just went over. Reduce won't flutter, lower tape tension. So all of that is reduced and improved over the typical setup. Also featured on here are some really neat J-quarter hub adapters. These were actually 3D printed and use high quality machined aluminum parts. So this is a really nice upgrade to the machine as well. Obviously the aluminum Technics branded take-up reels. Tape counter is over here. It's a traditional analog tape counter. And then over here you'll see the bias and equalizer adjustments, only available on this particular model, as well as the playback EQ, and then meter sensitivity and mic attenuation. That's standard, but at all the machines. All right, you also see that these are special machined aluminum knobs with black inlays. A little close-up of the blue meters I was telling you about in McIntosh style. And the head block has got a special covering on it as well. So I'm not going to play music because whenever I do, I get the videos blocked. But here's some idea of what its operation is. Now going into the rest of the system. Oh, and by the way, this machine is not available just now. We just got it, but if you're interested in it, we're going to bundle it together with a bunch of things that really complete the machine. We've got some camera cable select, XLR cables, a power cord. We're going to have some pre-recorded music and a bunch of other sort of head demagnetizer and a bunch of other tools that go along. So we're going to bundle a really nice package together for this machine when we're ready to sell it. Drop us a note if you want to be on that list, and we'll contact you when it goes to market. Rest of the system, so here's the venerable MT10 turntable. This is probably one of the most beautiful looking turntables in the market today. It's been out for a bunch of years. McIntosh, I think, makes now about 4 different turntables. This is the king daddy of them all. It has a massive acrylic platter that is backlit, or bottom lit in this case. It's got your typical platter speed meter here that adjusts to your speed. Pretty neat. And it's part of the McIntosh ecosystem, so you can actually control its power from the rest of the system, which makes it nice. And that's the thing about McIntosh. Once you start with one of the pieces, it's hard to mix in other things. So be warned. Once you get your first piece, it's really a race to replace your entire system. Below it is the C1100 two-piece preamp. This was just replaced by the 12,000. This is top of the line as well from McIntosh. It's a tube, two-piece, so it's a controller on one side and the amplification on the other side with the output meters. Below it is an MC 452 quad balanced amplifier. We've had a bunch of these. I think we got 6 of them. This is the last one in stock. They've been selling super fast. This has also been replaced by a newer model, MPC 1500. That's their power conditioner, their top of the line power conditioner. That's a current model. MC 275 amplifier, 2 channels at 75 watts. This has been around for a zillion years, and now it's in 5th or 6th iteration. Here we have a Blu-ray player. This is an older generation. And then obviously our reel-to-reel machine. So I think that covers it. Thanks for watching. Again, be sure to subscribe if you want to see any of this equipment. SkyFiAudio.com is our website where you'll see several hundred pieces, I think 500 or 600 at this point. And subscribe to our channel and look back through it. You'll see lots of videos detailing our McIntosh wall of sound over there, you know, our car projects, and really all this crazy equipment here. So thanks for watching, and stay in touch.